Ambassador Petric, thank you very much for sharing your time with me today.
Thank you for being invited.
Ambassador, an agreement between Kosovo and Serbia to move forward towards normalization has been reached in Brussels at the beginning of this week. There is no great enthusiasm for this agreement. In fact, what did this moment brought, according to you?
Well, I have just the other day said on Austrian television that this agreement has the potential, I underline, for a historic step forward to the normalization of the relations between the two neighboring countries. I think that is it, and therefore there is no enthusiasm neither in Pristina nor in Belgrade. In Belgrade, maybe even less, because it is, in my opinion, a very good and balanced, important step forward.
But it seems that the agreement of the parties not to negotiate the plan further was made with some kind of international pressure. So take it or leave it model. Wasn't this a handicap for Kosovo and Serbia?
Well, let me say the following. The negotiations have not started now in Brussels. Yeah, this was not the first meeting. I believe that both sides know very well and have followed and been involved over the past more than 10 years in this dialogue between Belgrade and Pristina. I think the German-French proposal, and it is a proposal, is the result of very careful research and very careful reading of both sides. So therefore, to negotiate, yes, of course, I'm sure one can talk about this or that, but I believe that this proposal is based upon the experience of the European Union, of Germany, of France, and clearly of Brussels, what needs to be done. And that is, in my opinion, quite a balanced proposal. And now the two sides need to take a political decision to say yes or no.
So you are asking them to have a courage to say yes or no?
Absolutely. I think now this is really a crucial time for both the president of Serbia and the prime minister of Kosovo to now really step forward and demonstrate courage. Clearly, not everything is there to the liking of one side or of the other side. I think it is therefore a good idea to say we support this, we embrace it, because this proposal would be the basis, the basis for the next steps that need to be taken.
What we are talking about is about the wish, what we would like to see. But do you see both of them leadership to them to say yes to this document? Do they have this leadership?
This is the big question mark, of course, and I do hope that that the political leaders of the two respective countries will realize that this is indeed, if they agree, a historic move forward. You need to also see the wider ramification. The Western Balkans, with the full-fledged invasion of Ukraine by Russia, has re-entered the geopolitical game, which goes on between Russia, China on the one hand, and the United States and Europe on the other hand. And so both Pristina as well as Belgrade need to now step up and say, okay, we are in the Western camp. We want to become a member of the European Union eventually. So therefore, we need to take and fulfill the necessary preconditions. And the precondition, that really important precondition, is the normalization between the two countries, and that is included in its essence and in the most important steps in this proposal.
You are talking about normalization, but you are not talking about the recognition, something that Kosovo has been seeking since 2011 when the negotiations started for quite a long time. So have we returned to the document of 2013, for example, when there was no recognition, mutual recognition between the parties there?
I don't think there is a return to 2013. I think it is implicitly there. And of course, both sides know that in the end result, so therefore this proposal is an important interim step. In the end, there has to be mutual recognition. But just think of other historic examples, like the German example, or we also in Austria, we have with Italy since 1918, when part of the Tyrol was annexed by Italy. It took us 70 years, more than almost 70 years, to really come to a full-fledged agreement. I hope and trust that this will not take another many years in the case of Kosovo. I think we need to now move on, but now it needs the courage of the two sides to say, yes, we want to do this because we want to see a normalization, and we want to, above all, move on with our economic development. We have to move on with moving closer to the European Union. We have to negotiate with the European Union, and so on. I think these are important steps that can only be taken once the precondition as laid down in the proposal of the Germans and the French is being supported and embraced.
Ambassador, you have touched a very interesting point, German model. So we are now on this, let me say, this stage with this proposal, basically on the German model, and we don't agree, but we move forward. Isn't it like this?
Well, I mean, also in the case of Germany, you know, it took a very long time. There's a difference at the time that the UN membership of East Germany was accepted at a time, but there was no formal recognition. But they had already officers. Like Bonn at the time, West Germany had an office in East Germany, and East Germany had an office in West Germany. So that is what makes a certain parallel also in this proposal. And I think these steps are very important, because once you have an office in your neighboring country, it means de facto you are in a formalized relationship. And that is a pre-step, so to speak, to a formal recognition, which might be still in the future, of course, but nevertheless, I think we need to take the first steps first.
So everyone is talking about de facto, no one is talking about the euro. When are we going to see the recognition process being completed? When do you foresee this?
Well, I must say, tell you, I know as a historian, I know a little bit about the past, but I don't know anything about the future. I can only trust that the two sides will finally say we need to now come to normal relations. And normalization, as it says, per definition, means in the end a diplomatic, mutual diplomatic recognition. But as I say, the factor now is important, and the jure will follow.
And let me ask you, is a conditionality on the European path for Serbia related to Chapter 35 been removed with this new agreement reached in Brussels? So is the European road getting easier for Serbia?
No, I don't think so. I think that Chapter 35 has a clear goal, and this is the mutual recognition. But as I say, there is now an important step in the making. I hope that by March 18th we will know more. But the former conditions laid down in the 35 chapters are still up and valid. What is a part of this proposal actually is that that Brussels is commitment to speed up the negotiations with Belgrade, but at the same time, as the negotiations with Belgrade are going to move on faster after the acceptance of the proposal, then, of course, also the application of Pristina for EU membership will be treated favorably.
Ambassador, there is an issue that seems like it will further hinder the process of implementation of the agreement. This concerns the association of municipalities with a Serb majority in Kosovo. Both sides stipulate this, but are we moving towards an expanded autonomy for the Serbs in Kosovo with this agreement?
Well, first of all, that is already 10 years that this was signed. So as we know in international relations, pacta sunt servanda. Every government has to stick to what the previous government has underwritten and has signed, rather. So. And then, of course, it needs to be talked about it. How, in concrete terms, should this association look like? I think this is what needs to be done. I mean, there is a working group there. There are many ideas out there. There are also international proposals out there. I think it's the responsibility of both sides now to step up, particularly, of course, of Pristina, because this is happening. This association will be part of the sovereign state of Kosovo. So therefore, there is an added obligation in Pristina to follow through. I have signed this many years ago, more than 10 years ago. We now need to implement it. We now finally, eventually have to make proposals how this will look like. And everybody is, of course, very much in favor of having an association of the majority communities, which is a non-executive issue, which non-legislative issue. It is not about Republika Srpska. We do not want this. We have very bad experience. I myself was High Representative in Bosnia-Herzegovina. I know how difficult it is to handle Republika Srpska. So therefore, the international community, the European Union, is absolutely against this kind of model. But there needs to be, I think one needs to approach this association in practical terms. What could be done in terms of everyday lives of the people there? And it should not be an apartheid system established there between Serbs and Albanians. This is definitely not the case. My idea would be that there should be a clear cooperation between the two peoples also when it comes to this association. I think if you have whatever proposals for service installations and all this stuff, I think the cooperation, the everyday cooperation, should include Albanians in these in the Serb majority areas as well. I mean, that is very clear. You will not come up with say, okay, we are not going to do something in this house because there's an Albanian living there. That is not what the idea of the association is.
But Ambassador, I will take what President Vučić is saying. There are three no's. No for the implementation of the agreement without the association of the Serb municipalities in Kosovo, no to Kosovo's recognition, and no to Kosovo's membership to UN. So how do we reconcile these three no's within a plan?
I think this is really now the task of Brussels with the support of the United States. I think these issues are going to be resolved. I'm confident that these issues are going to be resolved, not immediately, but definitely. Mr. Vučić, President Vučić, has committed himself verbally in Brussels. And I think he will stick to this. But of course, I mean, it is the nature of negotiations, particularly such difficult negotiations, where so much historic package is there. A war is between these two peoples, of course, which still looms very large. And all these issues, therefore, we need to be very careful, but we need to and insist that this proposal will be accepted by both sides.
Ambassador, may I ask you directly, do you trust President Vučić that he will, of course, endorse the whole package of this proposal, German-French proposal?
I don't know. It's, of course, a very difficult decision for any Serb politician. You know that President Vučić has a lot of opposition in the country itself. We have watched the turmoil in the Serbian parliament. These are all not very good signs, but I think I come back what I said before. Now political courage is the order of the day. We need now to see President Vučić, who has a huge majority in the country, to step up and say, nevertheless, in spite of it's difficult, we are going to do this.
Ambassador, there is a request for formalization of the status of the Serbian Orthodox Church in Kosovo. This appears to be some kind of new requirement with new plan before Kurti and Vučić.
Well, I think we need to see where are the historic connections between Serbia proper and Kosovo. Yeah. And the Orthodox Church, the monasteries, play a very important role in the in the lives and in the memory of all Serbs. So therefore, Pristina would be well advised to take this issue seriously. I can tell you, I have spoken. I'm in loose contact, have visited Dečani and Father Sava there, who is very open, who during the war was one of the few Serbs in Kosovo who actually spoke and continued to have contact with the Kosovo Albanians as well. He, of course, says that there needs to be a status, a special status for the monasteries and the churches, Orthodox churches in Kosovo. However, this is, of course, always, and this is very important now what I'm saying, you need to regulate relations. You need to put this on paper so that any conflict can be resolved within the agreement and what was agreed. And I think it would be a good sign if Pristina would now see what can be done in Dečani, because there is obviously a decision taken by the court, and I think it would be a gesture, a very important and a very positive gesture, if with Dečani an agreement could be reached. And that would prepare, in my opinion, that all the other monasteries in Kosovo will also then follow suit and support. What is important, of course, is that in the end, what you need to achieve is that the Serb community in Kosovo will eventually accept and respect the state of Kosovo. Yeah, this is important, and we don't want to see a situation like in Montenegro, where where the relationship between the Orthodox Church and the government has deteriorated. I want to see a good relationship. I think this is very important because it is, after all, the heritage of Europe. And Kosovo stands for cultures, for cultural monuments, both of the Christian Orthodox Church as well as for the Muslim community, for the Catholic Church as well. I think Kosovo could become an example how to live together and how to respect each other. That is what I wish, actually, as a friend of Kosovo.
So, Ambassador, if I understand well, Martti Ahtisaari's plan foresee all this, what you have said right now. It is embraced into the Kosovo's constitution. So isn't it enough, the Ahtisaari plan, or we need Ahtisaari plus plan?
No, I don't think you need an Ahtisaari plus plan. You need to figure out in a sovereign way how do we as the government and as the citizens, the Albanian ethnic community in Kosovo, how can we improve relations with the Serb community? That's important because only once you have settled this historic conflict, Kosovo will be able to make progress, economic progress, move faster to the European Union, to Brussels, and so on. I think this is very much in the interest of Kosovo to see to it to resolve this very difficult, granted, very difficult question and do whatever it can in order to bring in the Serb community into the state of Kosovo.
And Ambassador, allow me, beyond what we have in front of us, what are your expectations? Can we conclude the process between Kosovo and Serbia within the time limit as the plan foresee within 1 year?
Well, I tell you, it would be, it's very ambitious, but you need to keep in mind that elections are coming up. Elections in the United States, elections in the European Union. We have the war in Ukraine, against Ukraine by Russia. We want to, the international community, European Union really wants to use now this window of opportunity to resolve the issue, to bring it on a good and secure road towards normalization and the better being for the peoples.
Thank you very much indeed, Ambassador Petruc.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your time.